Daniel was a student when he met Kate. He was 20, she was 19. They met at a party, she was laughing louder than everyone else, and he was smoking on the balcony. She approached him and asked for a lighter. He gave her one, they started talking, and then they walked until the morning. She was free, easygoing, carefree. He fell in love that night. They dated for 2 years. She lived with him, cooked breakfast, and waited for him when he got home from work. He thought it was forever. But when she told him she was pregnant, he broke down. He was too young, he had no job, no money, nothing. He was scared. More scared than he'd ever been in his life. And he said, "I'm not ready. Get an abortion." Kate looked at him. There was no anger in her eyes, only disappointment. She silently packed her things and left. She didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't ask him to stay. She just left. Daniel didn't look for her. He wanted to forget this story, to forget his cowardice. He got married, had a daughter, then a second. He worked as a manager in a large company, bought a house in the suburbs, and went on vacation. On the surface, it was a perfect life. On the inside, he harbored a deep-seated guilt that he had buried so deep that he almost stopped noticing. He never knew Kate had kept the baby. His name was Ethan. He was born healthy, but Kate couldn't raise him. She had no money, no place to live, no one. She gave him up to a foster family a month after he was born. She asked him to keep it a secret. Ethan grew up in a good family. He had foster parents, a brother, and sisters. He knew he was adopted, but he knew nothing about his biological parents. His foster mother waited until he turned 18 to give him the envelope containing the truth. Ethan opened the envelope on his birthday. It contained his mother's name, Kate, and his father's, Daniel. Brief story, she was too young, he was scared, she didn't have an abortion. Ethan read it 3 times. Then he found Kate through social media. She lived in another state, was married, and worked as a doctor. He called her. She cried, apologized, begged for forgiveness. She told the truth. She said, "Your father doesn't know about you. He told me to have an abortion. I left without telling him I kept you." Ethan was silent. He wasn't angry at his mother. She had made a choice for him, and that choice had given him life. But he was angry at his father. At the man who didn't want him. At the man who hadn't even asked what had happened to Kate. He found Daniel a year later. He stood on his doorstep, looking at a strange face that should have been his own. "Are you Daniel?" Ethan asked. "Yes," Daniel replied. "How can I help?" "My name is Ethan. I'm your son. You told my mother to have an abortion, but she didn't listen. I survived. And I want to know why." Daniel paled. He leaned against the wall to steady himself. "I have a son, yes. I'm 20 years old." "I didn't know," Daniel whispered. "I never knew. She left and didn't tell me anything. And if she had, would you have wanted me?" Daniel was silent. Everything inside him was crumbling. What he believed in, how he lived, how he justified his cowardice. He looked at his son and saw his eyes, his chin. He recognized himself in that face. "I don't know what to say," Daniel said. "I was a young fool. I was scared. I didn't know." "I'm not looking for excuses," Ethan said. "I'm looking for the truth. You didn't want me?" Daniel lowered his head. "Then yes, I didn't want to. I was afraid, but I didn't know you were alive. If I'd known." "What? If you'd known I'd survived? Would you have become a father?" "I don't know. I want it to be true, but I can't tell you what I don't know myself." Ethan looked at him. At the man who had given birth to him and abandoned him without even knowing he was born. "I don't want money," Ethan said. "I don't want revenge. I want to understand why I wasn't needed." "You were needed," Daniel said. "Not then. But now, you're here, and I see you. And I want to know you, if you let me." Ethan was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. Daniel told him everything. About the fear, about the money, about Kate, about how she left and how he didn't look for her. He didn't make excuses, didn't ask for forgiveness. He was simply honest. For the first time in his life. Ethan listened. He didn't forgive his father. Not right away. But he understood. He understood that fear drives people. He understood that Daniel wasn't a villain, he was a coward. And that's sometimes worse. Daniel showed him photos of his family, but didn't invite him inside. He said, "I have to tell my wife I have a son. Give me time." Ethan left. Not angry, not offended. He was calm. He had done what he came to do, learn the truth. A month later, Daniel called. He said, "I told you everything. My wife is shocked, but she accepted it. My daughters want to meet their brother. Maybe you'd like to come over for dinner." Ethan came over. He felt awkward. Daniel hugged him for the first time. Long, silently, and said, "I don't deserve to be your father, but I want to try, if you give me a chance." Ethan didn't answer. He simply stayed for dinner. They didn't become father and son that evening, but they became people who decided to get to know each other. Daniel still blames himself. He knows he doesn't deserve forgiveness. But he tries. He calls Ethan, invites him to birthday parties, helps him with work. Ethan accepts his help, doesn't call him his father, but doesn't avoid him either. They're moving towards something new, slowly, carefully, without expectations. Daniel knows he can't get those 20 years back, but he can try to live the next few years without his son saying, "You let me down again." Ethan has forgiven his mother. His father, not yet, but he gave him a chance. And that's more than Daniel hoped for.